Hello and welcome to week 6 of Introduction to Reading Methods. Can you believe we are already in the second half of the summer semester? I don't know about you, but it seems like it is flying by. So I just wanted to let you know that I am continuing to enjoy getting to know each one of you as you submit your assignments and do the discussion boards. It really is amazing how we can build a community even online. And so I hope that you are enjoying getting to know your classmates as well. So for this week, we are going to transition into kindergarten. So for most children, this is the first time that they're going to real school. They're not going to have nap time. It's going to be completely different than what they've been used to in a preschool setting. So for this week, what you're going to do is you're going to actually take the two chapters that deal with kindergarten, chapters 8 and 9. And so you need to read those and view the PowerPoints for them. So basically, the way that the next few grades are going to be set up is the first chapter is going to tell you what is developmentally appropriate, what kinds of skills children at that age should be learning. And then the second chapter is going to kind of be a practical application of what are some strategies that I can use to be able to help children meet um, these particular goals that I have for them. Another important thing to remember about kindergarten is that in the state of Virginia, that's where we're going to start looking at SOLs as our standards instead of the milestones or the foundation blocks. Now, the SOLs get a bad rap simply because of the testing that's associated with them. But really, it's not a bad thing to have standards. We want all children to be able to learn the same things, have the same knowledge by the time that they finish a certain grade. The difference is that SOLs are heavily weighted with the tests that children take at the end of the year. But basically, for the purposes of this class, I just want you to realize that from here forward, anytime that we're talking about standards, it's going to have to be the SOLs. In the course content and in the course information, you will actually find the link to the Virginia Department of Education where you can find the SOLs, and you can actually search by a particular subject. So obviously, for the purposes of this class, you would be looking at the English standards, which is where the reading, the writing, the oral communication is going to come into play. So a few other things that I wanted to show you for this week that are in your folder. So when you go to course content by weeks, you're going to find a folder that's going to say literacy in kindergarten. And so I found this little sign that I thought was important to remember that we should be empowered because we are teaching little people how to read. And so that does make us kind of a big deal. So when you click into the folder, what you're going to see for this week, you're going to see this is a great article that I would love for you to take the time to read. It just kind of gives some insight into what happens when we are not assigning homework, but instead we're asking children to read and to play. So this is just something for you to read at your leisure. You don't have to do anything with it. I just like to give you some good resources when I come across them. So here are the PowerPoints for the week. Here are your instructions. Don't forget that your centers assignment is due at the end of this week, and I will be grading your observation assignments throughout this week. Most of you have actually already turned them in and I've graded them, but they weren't due until Sunday night. So anything that is outstanding, I will continue to work on grading. But the big thing that you're going to work on this week is the beginning of your lesson plan. So let me give you a few words of wisdom about the lesson plan. In this folder is everything that you need to create your lesson plan. This right here is a detailed PowerPoint that I made to be able to help you write each part of the lesson plan. Now, if you have not written a lesson plan before, you are probably going to find this first time a little intimidating. So I have done everything I can to try and make it as non-intimidating as possible. I have a recording in there from when I taught this face-to-face. I have this detailed lesson plan, PowerPoint on the lesson plan. There's a template in there. There is an assignment sheet that goes over the same things. But really, here's the nuts and bolts of the lesson plan. Think of this as a circle time and activity. So a lot of times people try and make this lesson plan something that would last an entire week, and that's not what this is. This really is meant to be a 15-20 minute activity from start to finish. So the other thing that's important to remember is that for the purposes of this class, your lesson plan must be literacy related. Please don't turn in an art lesson plan, a music lesson plan, a social studies or a science lesson plan, because if you do, you will end up with a 0. This class is Introduction to Reading Methods, and we're really focusing on reading and writing. So that's what your lesson plan needs to be about. So as you go through the lesson plan, really what I want you to think about is what is the standard? So that means that whatever age group you choose, remember early childhood is birth to 8, and so that means you can do birth up through 3rd grade, but whatever standard you use needs to be matched to the age group that you are putting in your lesson plan. Another thing about the age, please don't put an age range. If you say that your lesson plan is for children 3 to 5, that's not realistic, because we all know that what children do at 3 is completely different than what they do at 5. So what I want to see is 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade. It really is focused on one particular age group. And so once you have determined the age group, then you want to make sure that your standard is going to match. And remember that your standard is going to be taken from either the milestones or the foundation blocks. For birth to 5, if you are doing 4-year-olds, you can also use the foundation blocks, which you became familiar with when you did your observation. But anything from kindergarten on, you're going to have to use the SOLs. And again, in the course tools, or I'm sorry, it's in the course information up at the top, you will find the links to the milestones, the foundation blocks, and the SOLs. So once you have gone through all of the information about how to write the lesson plan, the other thing that's really important to remember, and it's the best graphic that I was ever taught about a lesson plan, is that it needs to be like a circle. So you're going to find that there's a place in your lesson plan that's called an advanced organizer. And really all that is that's how you're going to start your lesson. So think about it as bringing the children to the carpet. What are you going to do that's going to get them excited about what you're getting ready to teach them? This should not be any longer than 2 minutes or so. So you can read a book, you can sing a song, you can play a game, you can show a very, very short video clip. But that advanced organizer is really going to get the children set up for the activity that you're going to do. When you get to the teaching procedures, that's where I want you to be extremely specific. And I want you to go step by step. What are you going to do first? What are you going to do second? Go from start to finish. And then the last thing that you really need to pay attention to is the closure. If you remember when we were in high school, as soon as a bell would ring to let us know a class was over, we slammed our books and we ran out of the classroom. But that's not how children are going to retain information. So make sure that your closure is something that kind of pulls everything back together. You're reviewing that standard that you wanted them to learn. So as I said, I learned about it as a circle. You start up at the top with your advanced organizer, and then you want to make sure that in those first few minutes, you are doing something that's going to capture their attention and get them excited. Then you're going to have your teaching procedures, and then you have to close the loop with your closure. So it all needs to make sense. So as I said, hopefully all of the resources that are in here for you are going to help make this lesson plan not so scary. The other thing that's important to know is I'm going to have you do it in 2 drafts. So the first time that you submit your lesson plan, it's actually going to be your draft. Now, what I mean by draft is you've done it all, but you're going to get feedback on it. So when you look in the assignments, you're going to see that there, eventually I will make it available to you, but you're going to see that there should be two different links. There's going to be a lesson plan. Here's the information for the lesson plan again, but here's the lesson plan for the first draft. So when you think that you are ready for me to look at it, you're going to submit it through this first draft link. I am going to go through your lesson plan and I'm going to give you detailed feedback on each section to let you know if you're on the right track. The whole point is I want you to be able to walk away from this class with a completely finished lesson plan that you know was done appropriately and done correctly. So once you get my feedback, what you need to do is you need to fix anything that I gave you some information or feedback on. But then the other thing that's really important is you need to actually do your lesson plan with a child or a group of children. It does not have to be in a formal setting. It can be your own children. It can be neighborhood children. It can be children in your Sunday school class. It doesn't matter. The whole point is I want you to actually do this so that you can see how did it go. Because the last part of the lesson plan is writing your self-reflection. And basically in that section, you're just going to let me know, how did it go? Did it go the way you thought it was going to? Were there some surprises? Are there things you would do differently next time? So I really want you to get practice on doing this, because when you take 265, where you have to spend 60 hours in a classroom teaching your lessons, the main purpose is going to be to write a very detailed self-reflection. So I want this class to kind of be practice for that. So that really is going to be the biggest thing that I want you to work on, is working on that first draft of your lesson plan. You can submit it as soon as you have it finished, and I will get it back to you fairly quickly because I don't want you waiting to get my feedback. So again, for this week, you're looking at kindergarten. So have a good time as you are starting to learn about what children are doing in kindergarten. Hopefully you're going to see that it is absolutely building on what they were doing as infants, as toddlers, and as preschoolers. So as always, if you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to contact me. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you in week 7.